It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Well, I feel like we've thrown enough cold water.
Sure.
People are going to be like, do these guys even know what happiness is? Because, I mean, they have just all the fun things that you think money can do for you, whether it's buying the car, going out to the nice restaurant, buying the better house. These guys just threw cold water on all of it. So come on, help us out. Let me tell you where happiness really does reside. And this is going to be, I love that we actually get to tell you, when people talk about happiness, I think they use the word wrong. They really mean fulfillment.
That's right.
And I got some bad news. Like most things that are important and worth doing, happiness is actually a little bit of hard work.
It's not easy.
And what I mean by that is that there are some homework and things you have to do to make sure you do this right. And I always talk about this is the big W's, the whys and the won'ts. You know, you hear us if you watch any of our content, we're always very purposeful talking about you need to know what the why is on about everything. Because if it's just to make money or just to get to $1 million or $3 million, there's no why there. You just can't tell me, hey, you want $3 million? Why? Tell me why, because it's going to be much more purposeful if you actually know why you're trying to get to this goal.
And one of two things will happen if you don't know the why. Either you won't have the staying power to move towards that goal, or when you get to that goal, you'll move the goalpost. And we see one of those two things happen in almost every circumstance when the why is not clearly defined.
Well, because the moving the goalpost is another way of saying you don't know what enough is. Because you will need to figure out what's enough, because that's where you're going to have to know where those borders are. Because otherwise, I've already ruined it for you. There is an insatiable hole to fill with happiness. So you need to start figuring out what is your why, what do you love doing so that you can do more of that, and then what are your talents and aptitudes? Because you're going to find out it's not a lot of what you do in life that brings the happiness and the deeper happiness, which is the fulfillment, is feeling like what you're doing actually has value. And that leads to, and I've got a fancy word here, eudaimonic. So eudaimonic is just like we talked about hedonic treadmill, hedonic happiness, eudaimonic happiness. And look, this is I feel like I had to set this up for you guys, is that because I didn't make this all up. There's a lot of researchers, there's a lot of people trying to figure out how money and happiness work together, but they figured out eudaimonic happiness is the happiness that's going to last much longer. It's not a sugar high. This is actually true happiness. This is fulfillment. Bo, I see we have a definition slide. Tell them what eudaimonic happiness means.
Eudaimonic happiness is simply happiness that's achieved from a sense of meaning and purpose, or feeling like what you do matters to the world, what you are doing, what you are participating in matters. It's the difference in happiness, sugar sweet, dopamine hit, and fulfillment, and maybe even, I'm going to throw the word contentment in there. It's a different strata, a different level of happiness.
Well, and this is why when we do estate planning for successful families, you don't want to give the kids $3 million when they're 22 years old. It's because it's going to ruin them.
They're going to blow through the hedonic part of
run out, buy the Lamborghini, they're going to buy the house. They're not going to have the wisdom, the maturity to know how this all works together with money, happiness, and purpose. Whereas think about the person who sells their business for $40 million. Why does that work better for them? And I think the reason it's longer lasting and the reason you can give somebody different more and they don't have the same traps that a lottery winner has is because it's more purposeful, and that's what some of the examples that are provided for what is eudaimonic happiness is like if you write a book.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of work
that
believe
goes
me,
into it.
I know what goes into writing a book. When I come out the other side, there will be a side of fulfillment built from going through this journey and coming out the other side in a better place. Starting a business, same thing. You go that road less traveled, you come out on the other side, you survive it, and you're like, wow, that gives me a lot of purpose. I've shared my childhood best friend, his father was a $7 an hour welder, got laid off, started a metal fabrication business. And I remember every time I ever talked to him about his success, he had that, it was, you could tell he was talking to you, but he was going to somewhere else, a more nostalgic, happier place, because he was thinking of all the struggles. He was thinking of how he came through the struggles and created financial success for his family, legacy for his family. That stuff happens. And then, of course, career achievement. But don't take my word for it. You guys know I love the late Dr. Stanley's research and work and writings. He did The Millionaire Next Door. Well, I told Daniel when we were doing the show, I said, I know Dr. Stanley talked about how career achievement was so much more important for millionaires than just the dollar figure. I said, go find me that quote. And this is what he came back with.
Yeah, this is from Stop Acting Rich and Start Living Like a Real Millionaire. It says, it has much more to do with being financially independent and secure than owning prestige brands. High self-esteem is related to achieving financial independence. Both the sense of achievement that comes from success and financial independence lead to happiness and life satisfaction, not meaningless badges.
So, I mean, we got to get to work here, guys. You got to figure out, what are you actually trying to build, within your career? What are you saving for so you can do the things that you love more often? So it's back to, we got to know what you need to do life on your terms. You actually own your time. Do what you want, when you want, and how you want. And that's why you've really got to know what your number is.
Right. Yeah, I think it's so interesting. We actually use the term all the time, financial independence. And we very specifically use that as opposed to retirement. Because when the folks that we interact with reach that level, we want them to truly feel independent, where they can do what they want, the way that they want, on their terms. That's financial independence. Retirement is this construct of, I'm just leaving a job. I'm just walking away from this job. We think that it is more than that. And the way that you reach that place, that state of mind, is by knowing what your number is and knowing how to work towards your number.
Yeah, we've tried to, I know I've tried to go beyond just the mathematics. And part of the homework, we have a new course out called Know Your Number, where not only will give you the answer of what you're saving for, but it'll also help you do the homework to figure out what's purposeful, what do you love to do. So I would encourage you, go check it out, learn.moneyguy.com. I think you'll find value in it.